Welcome to Hello Universe,
where perinatal peeps come for more evidence, more clarity, and fewer WTFs. We're Jen and Heidi, labor nurses, educators, and research obsessives, here with you in podcast form.
From deep dives to surprising rabbit holes, we're here to help you think differently about the work you do every day.
Let's launch.
Hello Universe.
Hey guys, welcome back.
Today on the podcast, I was kind of thinking, we were talking last time about our biggest icks, but some of the biggest tools also that have helped us in our careers when it comes to evidence-based practice or practicing, working within the evidence. And one thing that came to mind was having a questioning attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And, Heidi was like telling me last night about her shift, and like you kind of had to really persist in questioning the scenario.
Right. Yeah. And I think that that's something that we tend to do a lot in our career, and it can sometimes feel exhausting, but I think it's good because as we've talked about, things change all the time. And so just the importance of having that questioning attitude without questioning with attitude.
Oh, well, that is a specialty, right? I'm going to have a questioning attitude until there's going to be a point in time, and you have to have this friend on the unit that will question with attitude. That person popped into your mind. We don't have to explain what it is. You all just saw that nurse.
Yeah, there was a sketch artist around. There was a very particular face that was drawn.
That was drawn into that face. Yes, for you. So yes, having a questioning attitude. It does get exhausting, but it's something that I've realized can really be trained. It's a muscle that you can start to flex.
And a muscle memory, if you will.
A muscle memory. It can get more comfortable, right? Because things that are unfamiliar to us are by default going to be less comfortable. They're going to feel scarier. It's going to be scary to question a doctor if you don't question anything.
Right.
So, and do you thoughtfully think okay, do I have all of the orders that I need? Does everything seem to be here that should be here? Do I have, are the I's and O's making sense for this patient? Or do these vital sign trends make sense for my patient? Is there anything out of the norm here for my tracing, right? Do we regularly have that kind of questioning that we practice? Because if we're not even doing that, then turning around and questioning the charge nurse or questioning a provider, midwife, or a doctor is going to feel really, really uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's not going to feel good.
Yeah. And one of the things, as you get really good at it, you start to do is not only do you become someone who can answer questions, you start to question the answers. And that is the crux.
You sure do.
You sure do, right? And hence all of the rabbit holes we go down to. And when you start doing that, all of the things that we've taken for granted or that's the way it's always been starts to fall away, right? And I think as I was reflecting on us starting this podcast, it was really oh, we do this all the time on our unit. People are very comfortable questioning, hashing things out. I remember we had this midwife who used to work with us, and now she's on the East Coast. I think she's at Duke. Shout out to Erica Coppola. But we were in a spirited debate at the nurses station about the definition of choreo. And I was like, it's this. And she's like, no, it's change. And I was like, I don't know. And we could both find stuff that supported us for our patient. It actually didn't really matter by all definitions. She had choreo or triple I, but that never, what did that even stand for?
Intrauterine infection. Something.
It never took off.
Then wasn't it IAI for a while too?
Yes, IAI for a little while. To be clear, it never took off, and we all still say choreo. we have people are out there screaming at their cars. It's da 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 that.
Yeah.
Total dum-dums right now. But anyway, so that's just something we've always had is always comfortable questioning. But there's even some these sacred things that you just don't question or never come up for question. And I think the first time this happened to me was, and we'll get back to this topic later on a different episode, but with this phenomenon called sudden unexpected postnatal collapse. And if you don't know what it is, basically a baby's born well, normal APGARs, and sometime in the first 24 hours has a cardiorespiratory collapse. And this happened to me just after birth. I had 8-9 APGARs for this baby. I was filling out my bands, all this stuff. And I looked over about 5 minutes later and I was like, that baby doesn't look quite right. But in Portland, Oregon, obviously we have almost no lights on in our rooms at the time of delivery. Like, right. It's very, very dark in these rooms. It's just the light of the warmer. And I was like, that baby doesn't look quite right. But so I go over and I look and kind of give it a little nudge. And I was like, oh my gosh, this baby's like, has stopped breathing. So I take it over to the warmer. We give it a few puffs of PPB and it like turns right back, or, time. And I was like, so this is like a full 10, 11 years ago. Like people are like, why is she talking about this? No, this is like 10 years ago. And we were going out to the nurse's station and this nurse who's now retired, but like, one of those nurses that you like will just like look up to forever, like more fondly, Peggy's like, I think it's the skin to skin. I was like, what? You can't say anything bad about skin to skin.
Right. We worked so hard to
get there.
Right.
And lo and behold, I mean, she was a little bit right, but not in the way she was. So that was like my first experience hearing somebody question something that was like sort of held to be sacred, but was not the last.
Okay. So what do you want to talk about today then? Something that we don't question the answer on.
Okay. You know what is not actually evidence-based?
What?
The NICHD categories.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. So NICHD, the categories, category 1, 2, and 3. So evidence means we had some sort of like study, research, something that went into it before it's adopted and rolled out.
Right.
This was not studied, not researched, anything prior to 2008 when it was integrated into the NICHD nomenclature.
Which is 18 years ago.
That's a long time.
It's a long time ago.
I remember first becoming an A1 fetal monitoring instructor and thinking like, oh, it's been 5 years. Surely they're going to circle back around. A few years out, we already knew category 2 was like really really challenging for people.
Oh, yeah.
And we haven't, though.
I know. I keep waiting and thinking it's going to happen. But now with how...
Call us.
We're
here. I think
fill out our contact form. And
you needed more nurses on that, guys.
Yeah, more
Gals.
nurses.
I think it was mostly guys, probably, but yeah. So step 1 was like, let's get everybody on the same page of like calling things the same words, and that was in 2005, and then in 2008,
we're not going to call variables carrots anymore.
W's, subtle lates,
shoulders,
all the things.
Yes,
all the words. So we dialed in our nomenclature, and then I don't know where it came from. I've heard lore that maybe the categories were like thought up like on a cocktail napkin in a bar, but that was I don't know if this is like a reputable source. That's
it's just we'll call it folk's tale
it's a folk tale.
Adjacent conspiracy theory.
It's a conspiracy theory. Yeah. So that's our labor nurse conspiracy theory. I don't think that, but that's the word on the street that I was told as a new nurse. And they decided like, well, let's make them into these categories and that will make things easier. But we didn't really have any evidence that these 3 categories worked or were going to make things easier. We had some people studying categorization. We had like Julian Perer with the 5-tier. Right. And he didn't even quite, he had been working for several years. We had studies here and studies there that had different combinations of features and the likelihood that that baby was acidotic at that time. And from there, I think it's like 200 and something different fetal heart rate combinations.
Yeah, there's so many different combinations. I knew the exact number.
It's like 233 or something like that.
Yes, that fall into that category too. Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot of different combinations between variability, D cells, different types of D cells, accelerations, tachycardia, bradycardia, normal, all of those. And he put them into this table. But 1, 2, and 3 had not been studied.
Yeah, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah. And so after that, then people were like, this is what we have, so let's add to it. Right. It's as opposed to going backwards and like back to the drawing board. They're like, let's make some algorithms, right? Because there was knowledge and science and evidence prior to that said, obviously, like different combinations of features are more worrisome or less worrisome, right? And you have a certain amount of time for those different combinations. So we had all of that. So I don't know quite why they decided on the 3 categories, especially with category 2 being so big. But what is evidence-based are the CAT2 algorithms. But what do people ask us like all the time is like, oh, I'm nervous that this isn't NICHD, therefore I shouldn't use it.
Yeah, they're really kind of nervous about using it or implementing it because it's different than that. But it is funny because then, people haven't really questioned NICHD. It's just sort of like, those were like the commandments of fetal monitoring that you just sort of, but the thing is too with that, it's like that really just gives us language and terminology, not the actual like application and interpretation of using the tool of fetal monitoring. Right.
Yeah.
And that's where people get so lost. And that's where, a CAT2 algorithm I think is so helpful because you can just be like, okay, do I have moderate variability? Yes or no? Have I had significant decels with more than 50% of my contractions over the last 30 minutes? Yes or no? And it just like, it works you down to getting a decision like, no, we can give them more time, or like, okay, we need to like talk about getting this person delivered and not getting lost in the sauce. And that's where I think people get lost in the sauce.
Yeah. Well, and there's lots of different CAT2 algorithms, right? Everyone loves to have their own thing, which we get, but there's like a handful of them. They all
pretty much work out the same way. Because we did a presentation, it's almost been a couple of years ago now, where we did
a case
study where we gave the participants the option of like, pick your own CAT2 algorithm. They could pick, we had Clark, Shields, and 5-tier, and we let them...
an Eller and Esplin.
And we let them choose which one they wanted to use.
Yes.
And we worked through the case study together. Same strip, they were getting all the same info, and they all came to like the same conclusions.
Yeah,
like pretty much
get to the same conclusions. So whichever one you pick, they're all kind of saying the same things. They're all drawing on that same body of evidence, right? So back to that funnel, it's like, yeah, that evidence that's getting put into the top of the funnel is the same. These people are using their own experience and, trying to look at it through the lens of their like hospitals or their demographics or whatever, their hospital policies, their resources, and making these different algorithms for management of those category 2 tracings, which, that's also, I think, kind of a misnomer. Is like, we have this real thing in labor and delivery that most tracings are category 2, and that's not true.
Yeah. Well, there was like kind of a little saying that was going around quite a while that it was like 80% of tracings are a CAT2 at some point.
Yeah, in labor. At some point.
Yeah, but not
80% of the tracing. Right. So at some point.
That part of the quote got removed.
Right. Yeah. So we have this idea that CAT2 tracings are the majority of tracings. That's not true. Actually, category 1 is the vast majority. It's like 70-something percent of the time the tracing will be CAT 1. As you get closer to stage 2, obviously that's going to change. You're going to have a lot more CAT2 just because you're going to have variable decels, which are super, super common.
And depending on what we're doing to the patient too.
And depending on what we're doing with the patient. So even if they were CAT 1, so that there's that idea of that like length of time in that amount of tracing. But that normalization of category 2, I think has had a lot of unintended consequences by categorizing it as 1, 2, or 3, and putting such a large number of tracings into category 2.
Yes.
Does category 2 mean do nothing?
No.
We read that, though, in depositions all the time.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, too, because it's like such a large sum of things that you have CAT2s that are less worrisome, and then CAT2s that we call 2.75.
Right.
Where they're nearing a 3. And And so, yeah, I mean, it is like a call to action that you need to be doing
Our
something.
category 2s that we absolutely know are the same as far as like the risk for acidosis as a cat 3, right? Minimal variability with recurrent lates. That is I don't know why it's not a 3.
Yeah.
It is a 3.
It needs to be a 3.
Or minimal variability with prolonged decels. That's a 3. Like the risk to that fetus is the same. But I just read a deposition on a case that I'm in. It's not against me, but I'm the expert for the patients. And the expert for the defense, another nursing expert, is saying the only time a nurse has a duty to advocate for expedited delivery is if it is a cat 3. And I'm like, I don't think that is evidence-based.
No, I don't believe so.
Like, that's almost too late.
Right. It is. And okay, this is a little bit of a sidestep, but one of my biggest icks with acting on the tracing, so, okay, let's say they do decide to intervene when it's a cat 2 and be like, okay, we need to get them delivered. And then they deliver them and then the baby's fine. And they go, see, the baby was fine. We didn't need to deliver them. And
Fetal
I'm
monitoring's useless.
Yeah. And I'm like, isn't that the whole point though? That you like deliver them so they are fine?
Did you want to be right?
I know. So it's like, yeah, you have these warning signs, right? So fetal monitoring, like we talk about, is like how the fetus communicates to us, right? It's not the problem. It's a symptom of the problem. And so if we're doing our interventions, it's not responding, then it's showing us that the baby is having a disruption in the oxygen pathway somewhere that they are having to compensate. So you want to intervene in a timely fashion. You don't want to wait until they're a cat 3 and they're no longer able to compensate.
Right. You don't want to wait until this baby already has brain damage or, HIE or acidosis. Like, you want clinical successes, like not fetal monitoring successes. We're not nursing the tracing. It's information we're supposed to be using. Yes, I 100% agree. That is my biggest ick. And it's so much like confirmation bias of like, see, fetal monitoring's useless.
I was like, no, it's not. It's a tool.
Yeah. And like we say, it's like, well, yeah, it's no good if you're bad at it. Did you want to be right? Like, I don't get that mindset. If people, I truly don't think people who think or maybe say that do it with bad intentions. I think it is this thing that's been now passed on for 15 years. And I think that the categorization system of 1, 2, and 3, because we call it indeterminate and there wasn't like clear direction in cat 2, like cat 1 is you're fine, cat 3 is get the baby out, and cat 2 is really what's not what they said, but what was internalized, I think, by nurses.
Yeah. Well, and I think so too. I think like as nurses, as providers, we all want the same thing. Like, we want a good outcome for our patients and their babies. And I think that there was so much weighted in fetal monitoring, thinking that, if we can kind of conquer fetal monitoring, that's going to be the answer to like ensuring all of these good outcomes. But we know that it's like so much more than that. And that, I think we weigh too much on that instead of like, okay, the tracing is telling us this one thing, but then we don't act in the way that we're supposed to, or our actions are delayed, or that kind of thing, that there's a lot more that goes into that's just one piece of the puzzle.
Well, and I think back to that, like, clinician bias piece that we talked about previously with like whether you delivered vaginally or had a cesarean birth, you were more likely to like kind of push one way or another with your patients. I think if you think fetal monitoring's useful, you're going to like maybe act on it and maybe overact on it. But if you think it's not useful, they could have a terrible looking tracing. And we see this all the time in like case reviews.
Yeah, we do.
A terrible looking tracing, and they just keep waiting because in their mind, well, this is useless. Like, this doesn't tell me anything. And so I do think there's that like that bias of like, what do you even think about it, right? It's like very pervasive, that evidence-based bias or that confirmation bias happening, I think, within labor and delivery specifically, or obstetrics specifically. But it's always been meant to be a screening test.
Right.
And we used to use confirmatory tests. We would do like fetal scalp sampling. Did you look, you looked this up, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. I was just looking this up the other day.
Like a video of it.
A video of it, because because I was just kind of curious, like, okay, like how, because it was used in Canada quite a bit and like in Europe, and it's still being sold and used in parts of Europe and Australia and everything. And so on the medical device website, they had a video of what it actually looks like.
Scalp blood sampling.
Yeah, and it's gnarly looking. Yeah, I was watching it. My husband came in and he
jump scared.
Yeah, he's like, "What are you watching? That is so disturbing."
Oh, Joseba would have like passed out.
Yeah, Brody, I think, is used to just now like blocking.
Hard left out of the room
too. Yeah. It's very invasive, and so then I was looking up, the research on the fetal blood sampling and what that actually tells us. And it's really much more of a rule out tool than a rule in.
Right.
And it's much better if the pH is like less than 7.05. If you're kind of in like that 7.1-ish, like, borderline. Like teeter tottering, it doesn't give like great information. But you can definitely rule out.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how we figured out with like accelerations, that kind of became a thing, because back to the fetal scalp sampling, what they do is there's like this little, now they have like more of a device, but essentially what they do is like they would put an Alice clamp a piece of the baby's scalp, and then they have like a little pipette that they draw blood out of, and then put it in a little machine, run it. And what they were finding is that anytime the pH was at or around 7.2, they were noticing that there was like this increase in the fetal heart rate.
Yeah. So every baby who had an acceleration had a normal pH.
Right.
Babies who didn't have an acceleration, some were fine, some weren't. So again, it's these like one-way, we have a lot of one-way confirmation tests. And that's like why we can do scalp stem, right? And the same thing.
Yeah.
And then for a period of time, we also had the fetal pulse oximeter. And, fetal monitoring queen, Kathleen Roy Simpson, were like our like truly like foundational literature for our labor and delivery nursing practice comes from like this time period, like 2000, 2010, 12. And it had FDA approval for a period of time. I don't really know the backstory of why it didn't work or didn't or not.
I kind of heard that it was like one of the things was that it was really expensive too, that there was like a cost angle to it, that it was very expensive for facilities to have it. And then there was also a lot of like, people weren't using it like consistently in the same way. And so then the data was kind of unreliable.
I guess that would make a lot of sense. But also it's going to come back to the bias. Like, do you believe what you're seeing or not?
Right.
And do we need these extra tools, or have we now learned enough about the tracing? And there's some amazing research coming out of like, we've had a little like, for following the rabbit trail, there's been these little like cookie crumbs been sprinkled out for the last like 20 years, like really guiding us of like, if we are good at fetal monitoring and we look at the algorithms and we follow those consistently, we can predict and intervene before a baby gets metabolic acidosis or a brain injury. And like most recently, a couple of like true like bangers.
Are we going to talk about our
Tarvinen et al?
Oh man. The intrapartum zigzag. Don't get me started.
Don't get this girl. We'll come back to this
Yes,
one.
the intrapartum zigzag is going to be its own episode.
It's going to need its own week. It needs its own like call world. The way this girl, when she heard that word and like went over it, she's just like, Jen, this is like 2 years ago at least.
Yeah,
she's
at
like,
least.
You'd think she'd just like, it's like in high school when you met a boy or something. She's like, Jen, I just read this article. And you're like, oh, really? Tell me more. Like the way you went off on that.
But you got on the bus, right? Immediately. As soon as I was like, read this, you're like, oh.
Yeah. So this Finnish crew led by Tarvinen et al., who I thought was a doctor. And then I found out is like a midwife, which made me like this person even more. They've been using it. From best I can tell, well, maybe we'll see if they'll come on the podcast and talk to us. I think that would be really fun.
Oh my goodness. That would be so.
Actually, hold up. we're going to Finland. Like, I think that's really the only way to.
I mean, that seems like the most logical explanation.
It's probably the most efficient.
Yeah, we can pack up this podcast thing.
We'll bring the sign.
I mean, I think I still have the big box. I mean, the sign actually came from Pakistan, so I mean,
we could probably just ship one there. No, what is
probably.
the universe in Finnish? We'll ask them. Mm-hmm. See, all these reasons for us to go to Finland. Okay, anyways, we'll go back.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
So they have been working with this like giant data set, like 300-something hundred plus thousand tracings in births. But it's like very clear that like an admission tracing useful, that when we act on our tracing, not only certain tracings, but in a timely manner. Mm-hmm. And what they was said to us timely is like every one of these algorithms, and now this last one that just came out, Tarvin and et al., that we'll like put into the show notes, also shows it's your timeliness of intervention will improve your outcomes when it comes to fetal monitoring, not necessarily more tools, software, AI. You know, we have all of these different, people keep trying to layer. And it's like, I just don't know that we need another thing. What the problem is we truly are just not that good, maybe individually or clinician to clinician. And that's hard, I think, for people to recognize some of those biases around it. To the point that, like, I was texting you when you're on your vacation. I was like, girl, you're running gas. She got so excited. They just got FDA, like temporary FDA, like research approval for the pulse oximeter.
Yeah.
The fetal pulse oximeter
to come back.
Maybe.
I know. I'm like, I kind of just want it to come out because it's just like, I just kind of want to see it in practice. I don't know. You know.
You just want one.
I want one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the best research that we have is from when those tools being used. I mean, all of our intrauterine resuscitation.
We're going to link all those articles.
Yeah.
If you are in the birth world and you have not read Simpson and James
2005
and like 2008, I think, like those are like foundational to fetal monitoring, foundational to intrauterine resuscitation. Like, you just don't go to work another day without having read these articles.
Yeah. I mean, it breaks down, like, you know, when you're going back to like what we don't question the answers, you know, we've been taught, it's been ingrained in us, when you fluid bolus someone, you give 500 mils or a liter. But why? And the why is from that research.
It's from that research, right?
Yeah.
The why of why we're doing these things is
we're doing everything. Yeah.
I mean, classic, well done, like chef's kiss, right? So that, I mean, we really covered a lot of ground.
We did. We did not waste any time.
To Eller and Esplin.
Yes. we did a whole global
power dash.
Yeah.
But we also, you know, obviously we can't put everything into a podcast. So if you are someone who either enjoys fetal monitoring and wants to like know more about it, or is this something that you're like endeavoring to like get your CEFM, or you need CEUs credits that are fetal monitoring for your RNC, then we do have like a whole 4-hour fetal monitoring course.
We do. Yeah. And we talk about all of these things in there, and it'll help prep you for your test if that's the route that you're wanting to go, or like Jen said, if you're just wanting more education or hours, because we need to have that learning attitude where we're just, you know, forever learners. We're being curious. Then check it out. Lock in.
Geek out.
Buckle up. Here we go. Keep having that questioning attitude.
And so let us know at the end of this if, you know, did we just totally blow your mind with the whole Cat 2 not being, or 1, 2, 3 not being evidence-based. Like,
people probably blacked out as soon as they heard that.
Blacked out, crashed, drove their car off this road.
Hopefully not. Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. Yeah, so join us next time,
where we will go down more rabbit holes and go after those carrots.
Yep. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Hello Universe.
For more evidence, clarity, and community, head to universe.com and follow us on TikTok and Instagram at hello.universe.
Nursing is wild. Practice with confidence.